Harley's got his deer hunting deer and all, I guess. Jerry has always grow a beer in deer season. What is it, so they can stay nice and warm, I guess.
That's confidential.
No, I don't think that. I think you need to step down. It's wrong.
That generator doesn't back up every Monday, sorry.
No,
Well, I got everybody done.
do it all, Josh.
She already has to go.
You know better than I do. You know better.
I could be in me. I don't know.
Well, it's just like.
Yeah, you know better. You know better.
I'll go to this one, we'll push record. Start really, it's like 51. It's not that long.
I've only got one of John Chris.
Okay, my watch says 9 o'clock.
George said he'd be a few minutes.
Okay. You wanna wait on him or you wanna go ahead and start? Okay.
How much we go for that?
Okay, we'll go ahead and call the meeting in order. The Hawkins County Industrial Committee. Valerie, you do roll call, please?
Yes. Nancy Barker,
Here.
George Brittle, Mark DeWitt, Valerie Goins, Michael Burrell.
Here.
Tom Kern.
Here.
Charles Thacker.
Here.
We have 5 members present. I'm assuming,
Thank you. All right, I talked to them about reorganizing, because we don't have any committees. They said we didn't have to reorganize, just standing committees would stand, so that'll pass everybody. If you wanna go ahead and reorganize, it's up to you.
What about when, after a month or so, when we get new committee appointments?
Well, I think we're gonna address that down below.
Okay.
So if y'all wanna continue as is, we'll continue as is. If you want to, go ahead and, I mean, I really don't know what to do since we're in the.
I make a motion, we continue as it is.
I'll second that.
All right, next item on the agenda is discussion of industrial board appointments. And so, we presented that resolution in, November, and, because we had not met, some of y'all had some questions. So, you have in front of you the, resumes of the 2 new appointments. Susan Armstrong was actually appointed in 2015 and has served, for a, 6-year term. So if y'all would like her resume to review that, you're welcome to do that, but she's been on board for 6 years. So do you all want a copy of her resume also?
Yeah, I'll have to see.
And I would ask for you to give these back, after the meeting. These are confidential.
Thank you.
Yes,
Was that all the resumes submitted?
yes.
To the industrial board?
Yes, sir.
Oh, that was one other one, what was his name?
Scott Rutledge.
Scott Rutledge was, submitted, we had 3.
Chairman Elkins, I know it's an unthankful job, it doesn't pay anything, but to me, it certainly appears getting on the industrial board is nothing more than a popularity contest. You're not looking, or the board isn't looking at what can be brought to that table.
Well, Mr. Apples, I think if, as they review these resumes, you're gonna see that the candidates that have been recommended
Well, you didn't
are highly
even,
qualified.
You didn't even know there was another, so how do you know the qualifications?
Well, I did know there was another one, but we don't, I didn't see the point of bringing up a name if the executive
I
committee
didn't
had
bring
already
it
made
up,
a
but now
decision.
that, the other gentleman has a lot to bring to the table, a lot.
As do these three, and if you'll excuse me, we'll go ahead and get started. And we'll start with, first of all, Susan, Armstrong has been on the board for 6 years. And she is highly qualified. She is a, marketing director at Eastman. She, has been there since 1992. She is, graduated from the University of Tennessee. She has experience in marketing. She has experience in working on global, operations. She has experience in working with, additional, she works with budgets, she works with planning, strategic planning, which are all part of Hawkins County Industrial Board. So, any questions from the committee on Ms. Armstrong? And she was appointed in 2015, so she has been on the board for 6 years. So she has 6 years of experience of serving on the industrial board.
She was only a reappointment.
Yes.
For this one.
And all of you all, well, several of you all, voted for her when she was appointed. So if you want me to show you the minutes to that, I've got those to show you which ones voted for her at that time.
I remember.
Okay. All right. Any other questions on Ms. Armstrong? Okay. If none, then we'll move on to Amy Skelton. And what the process is that a board member recommends, an outgoing board member or a board member recommends to the industrial board a person to go on the board. Ms. Skelton was recommended by Brent Price. Mr. Price resigned because he took the position of, help me out here, somebody. For Doug Jenkins, he took Holly James's place for Doug Jenkins. And, so he's the one that recommended to the board that, Ms. Skelton be put on the board. Ms. Skelton, if you look at her, resume, is an honor graduate of Clemson University. She is an honor graduate of UT Law School. She serves on the board of directors of Hawkins County Memorial Hospital. She serves on Bays Mountain Park Association in Kingsport. She's a graduate from Leadership Hawkins. She has experience in financing, drafting documents, communication, business planning, court filings, municipal judge. She's a municipal judge at Churchill, and has a very good standing in the community. So do we have any questions on Ms. Skelton?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I mean, she got good qualifications, I understand that, but what is her qualifications got to do with industry?
Well, finance is real important in industry. Having good communication skills, having an attorney on the industrial board is very beneficial, so that if legal things come up during the meeting, she could probably address those. She has business planning, which is also strategic and business planning is also part of the industrial board. She has, once again, a good standing in the community. She's on the hospital board, which gives her another caveat there to be able to look at the emergency situations as they addressed at the industrial board.
I mean, we're losing a lot of industrial in this county.
I hadn't figured that.
Well, I mean, TRW shut down.
That's true.
Standards laying off. I mean, what do you mean?
Pepper Standard's not laying off. They actually started up another shift, Mr. Crowell.
And I mean, there's others I know that's either slowing down, laying off or something.
Well, it's the sign of the times. I think we've got a pandemic going on.
And I mean, I guess, kinda with Mr. Allen there, I mean, we've had a guy that travels for industrial and I mean, I guess it's hard for me to believe he wasn't even considered
He was considered.
well, he didn't make it through the process and
Do you have a copy of this?
And I just-
No, we didn't, but I
kind
would
of
like to.
concerned with myself.
That way we can look over it.
Okay, they'll just have it, documents.
Yeah, I think that'd probably be a good idea, when you compare his qualifications with the other folks. These folks do seem to look highly qualified, but that way we see.
You're trying to get, some. I think one of the things we're looking at, the industrial board is an older board, we're trying to get some younger people on there so that we can, get some experience there.
Well, let me mention one thing here. You know, Danny said it's a popularity contest. I've never met either one of these three individuals that were appointed, so I don't know. These are recommended by somebody. You all could recommend to us people that you want on the board, and all they do is submit a resume. We try to go through those resumes. These two people are young people. As we were talking earlier, we're getting to the point where we're getting old and we're trying to get some young people involved. But it seems like when we put a young person on, the next thing you know, they get off and go somewhere else. And it's the same way with community clubs and things like that. The young people are just not that overly interested in serving. We've had another person that's had to resign for health reasons, and whoever this third one is, and I don't recall his name, like I say, I don't know any one of these three, so we'd be glad to consider him at the next, we had one resign last month, that had a great deal of experience, and we really hate to see him go, but you know, when you get some age on you, it's time to move on, and that's the way, I'm ready to pass this torch on to somebody else. We just don't really have anybody right now that's willing to take it on. It's, as you say, it's not a lot of pat on the backs, and a lot of time, it's untold the amount of meetings that I attend representing Hawkins County and the industrial board to try to, to encourage industry to come in and things, but especially during this year with the pandemic and all, it's been very difficult, but there's a tremendous amount of work that's still going on, even, behind the scenes, and like I say, both these folks, you've not talked about Josh Russell, but he's the city recorder, and we work with the city of Church Hill and the city of Rogersville because both of them have industry and everything, and we talked with the mayor up there about appointing him, and he was very supportive of this. And like I say, Amy Skelton, I've never met, certainly has a good resume. I got calls from Judge Jenkins, right on down the line, all these people. Somebody evidently, as Danny said, she won a popular vote because I got a tremendous amount of calls in her support. And like I say, I've never met the lady before. But being, topping her class in Clemson and being a lawyer certainly doesn't hurt in meeting these industry executives and stuff when they come in. So, and Susan Armstrong has a great background. She has served the county well with her background in marketing at Eastman and everything. It's been invaluable. When we had a Chinese company, and Eastman was really involved with that and looking at a site there at Phipps Bend. So,
and one other consideration that we did, we're trying to keep the two that went off of the board were from the upper end of the county, so we're trying to keep it where we have representation all across the county. And she is from Rogersville, and Mr. Russell is from Church Hill, and those board members that went off were from that area also.
And talking about shutting down plants and things like that, we've met with the folks with former TRW just a little over a week ago to go over that. That's a devastating thing to find out that they're shutting down, but there's not a thing in the world that the industrial board can do about stuff like that. I mean, these decisions, I mean, are made way beyond the reach of Hawkins County, and we had no idea. We had seen signs that they were struggling, and just from nothing else but talking to some of the employees that work there, that they were seeing things, you know, kind of going south. And but when they made that decision, they sure didn't contact any of us about it. We found out about the same way you did when it was done. So. And we tried to meet with them and see if there's anything under the sun that we could do here locally, and you know, there's not. That's something that's made on a global decision that certainly, you know, takes in finance, and evidently this particular plant and the sister plant in Marion, you know, just not been that profitable, and maybe they don't have the contracts. They had a litany of things that were not going well, and so that decision was made wherever they're located now, in Germany or wherever. So there's not a whole lot you can do about layoffs and things like that.
Okay, well, Rebecca's kind of getting together the resume. Y'all wanna go ahead and move on to Josh Russell?
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
Is there any questions on his? I mean,
So they're all very qualified.
yes. Well educated, experience, he's got experience in government, he's got experience in city and county government. He's got experience in administration, finance, I mean, you know, when you get candidates who have that much experience and that broad of experience, it's unusual. And so, and then once again, we were trying to replace people with, the area that we lost people from, to make sure that all the county was represented, instead of bringing them all from one section of the county. So, does anybody have any questions on Mr. Russell?
I don't have a problem with, Mr. Chairman, any of these people that have the resumes here. It's just that I know back years ago, I'm talking in the 80s and 90s, and Larry was involved some back then too. One of the assets we had with the industrial board was people being willing to go out and talk to other industry and try to recruit them into Hawkins County, especially when we, in the mid-80s, when we opened Fifth Bend up, and getting a lot of those industry in money there.
Yeah.
Having somebody willing to go out or got the capability of going out
Right.
and talking to other industry, well, unlike some of the others, Scott Rutledge, he works for a company and he flies all over the United States, and he goes to some foreign countries. He meets a lot of people. I think he would be an asset to the committee or the industrial board, because of his work related that he does. And I know he's not afraid to talk to people. And when you're in California or Texas or wherever you may go, you know, when people mention industry, I think somebody that falls in his category would be an asset to the committee or the planning commission. I mean, not the planning commission, the industrial commission. I think he would be a good one.
Well, I think as Mr. Elkins just said, Mr. Christian has resigned, as effective last meeting, so there is another vacancy available. So, if,
Is it available now?
Yes, and
Yeah,
he
right.
resigned effective, the,
Last meeting, it was
which in the November meeting, industrial board meeting, due to his health.
Well, I'd like to recommend that.
It was
Done
the
something to
19th.
that position.
the 19th.
Yeah,
If you all, you know, if somebody knows these folks, I didn't get a single call from a soul in this room. And if you know somebody like this and you say, boy, he'd be a good candidate, pick up the phone and give me or Rebecca a call. I would have been happy to have recommended this fellow. And we'll be happy to put him on at the next, I say that, I can't speak for the entire board, but we don't have an issue with this.
and nobody has an agenda to put somebody from a popularity contest, and
Well, that's
that's
for
unfair for you to say that.
No, that's my opinion, Mr. Barker.
But thank you. We all have
Entitled to
those.
that.
Well, if this vacancy is already open, and you need three, is it, I guess what I'm saying,
You'll have to-
this one is just a, reappointment. You
Well,
have-
this, it would have to go in front of the industrial, they'd have to meet, the industrial board would have to meet in December and approve it, and then it would have to come back to us as the process. So he would, he could be recommended at the December board
Recommend at the
meeting,
next meeting and we,
brought in front of the county commission in January. And as, I don't think y'all got anything going on, that it's gonna make any difference between now and January.
No.
now, I mentioned at the last board meeting in November when Mr. Christian resigned, to go ahead and, you know, be thinking about who you wanna recommend, and, I think Phil Barrett, did Phil Barrett,
Yes,
was he the one
Yes.
that
yes.
recommended this? I'm sure he's gonna recommend him again. And I see no reason why he couldn't get reappointed or appointed or something. Like I say, I did not have one single phone call concerning this person. The other two evidently had people working, because especially the one, I got several calls concerning her. I don't know either one of the three, so it's, anybody that's willing to give their time and serve is, you know, I think should be appointed.
Well, I know, Larry, in most cases, it's sort of like a commissioner. You know, it's a thankless job to a lot of people, and that's the way they look at it. The same way with the industrial work. I'm sure a lot of people don't never give it a second thought that we've even got an industrial work. But I know how important it is. I also know how important it is to have somebody on there like Big Jim Anderson was. He didn't care to talk to anybody.
That's right.
And he helped Hawkins County a lot when he was, industrial recruiter, back years ago.
Well, fortunately, we have, the, networks who are constantly out. How many RFIs have you done this month?
Oh, this month,
Yes,
I think there were 5.
5 that's, help me there with the acronym.
Requests for information.
Requests for information. So, I mean, even with the pandemic going on, we're constantly getting requests for information. You all are all invited to the, industrial board meetings, and, you know, I gave you a list, at the county commission. Every county commissioner got, a list last year for 2020, and I put a list on your thing right there. You know, Ronnie Price, if y'all not aware, was industrial developer for, 20-some years, is working with networks, so that's another plus for Hopkins County. So, you know, there's a lot of good stuff going on with the industrial board, and I attend all the meetings, and I want you to know that the industrial board works every day to, you know, none of them, the only compensation is Rebecca as the secretary. Everybody else that's on the board, is, non-paid.
Not secretary.
I'm sorry, she's administrative assistant, and she's got a real long title, that's why I said that. Yeah, I apologize for that. I mean, it's a constant out there all the time. Networks is out there all the time, and, you know, they work really hard for Hopkins County. And we just had just had an expansion of, what was, what was the expansion?
Homeland Vinyl.
Homeland Vinyl, 55 new
50.
employees were added there. They work every day, we're trying to bring training and information. We're working with TCAT to get, help them get certification for employees. We work on safety, we work on OSHA. I mean, it is a constant every day. It's not, so we're trying to keep what we've got. We have been very fortunate in the past that, you know, when lots of people, when Morristown was losing companies left and right, Greenville was losing companies, Kingsport was losing companies, we didn't lose a company. Now, we did lose TRW. They were bought out by a company in Germany. It's a global global company, and they didn't even tell TRW they were closing them down. The thought at the time was they were gonna bring Marion down to here and reinforce this plant, and then they closed Marion, Virginia, and closed this one also. They went immediately and asked was there anything they could do to do anything different, and they were told it was a global decision, so there was not anything that they could do. Y'all heard the news release that was out about Barrett. They have worked for the last 3 months hand in hand with them to make sure that we don't lose that company or lose any people over there. And one of the things that's been a hindrance to that plan ever since they've been over there is that road over there. And we can't get, we have worked and worked and worked trying to get that road widened or get that road, and, and it would be very instrumental for each one of you all to send a letter to the Department of Transportation and say, we need work on that road. There's Highway 66 coming in. There's over 300 trucks a day comes up that road.
Yeah, I understood that, that road was gonna be widened by the former governor that we had.
Yeah.
And the money was, they were allotting so much money for that project. I haven't heard anything in the last couple of years. I didn't know what was happening.
They come over there and they say they're looking at environmental, then somebody comes up with a historic smokehouse or a historic building, and then they have to start over. So, and it's, we do not have a direct route into Hawkins County. I've been chamber director for 24 years now. I started writing letters when my second week as chamber director to the Department of Transportation. We went through Department of Transportation directors and people and to no avail. So, that would be something that as an industrial committee and as a road committee to try to put something together to try to help with that. There's lots of things that hinder us as far as, trying to get stuff in here. Because if you Google, they bring you in on Highway 70 off of 81. Have you ever come in off of Highway 70 after 81? I would never come back here. So anyway, let's get back to the...
Can I address Larry, please? Larry, was it 02 or 03 when we had 3 options on that road coming in over there, and the commission worked with the industrial board, and we picked a route, didn't we?
We picked the route and tried to support it. In fact, I don't remember the year now, but I actually asked Governor Bredesen, who was the governor at that time, to come up here. And if you recall, we had Ken Gibbons, who was Commissioner of Agriculture, and Senator Williams, who was our senator, was chairman of the Transportation Committee. So I thought, boy, all the stars are lined up, and so we asked them if they would meet us in Bulls Gap. And they drove into Bulls Gap, and we had a little van of sorts there to pick them up. And we asked East Tennessee Iron and Metals to hold back all their trucks and the different ones and turn them loose about the same time, and it looked like a caravan of trucks and cars. And as we drove from Bulls Gap with the governor on board to Rogersville for lunch, and we were passing buses and trucks and trash trucks, and he said, this is absolutely horrible. As soon as we get back to Nashville, I'll take care of it. That's the last time I've heard anything out of the group in Nashville. So it's, we did get this 66 deal approved, but it is absolutely on a slow boat to China. I don't know why. I go that way a lot anymore. You go to the doctor's offices all the time to Knoxville, and I go through Bulls Gap and go down the interstate because of where our doctors are located. And it's unbelievable, the truck traffic that's over there. Talking about that same Barrett group that we've worked so closely with, if you recall, we couldn't get the road built, so we did get some state money. We got $1 million, and Barrett put up $1 million, which amounted to $2 million to put side tracks in over there so they could possibly start shipping by rail instead of all the truck traffic. Well, that didn't work out because they couldn't get the right train cars to actually ship to their two biggest customers are Lowe's and Home Depot. And you know, I made the papers when Jeff printed something I'd said about Norfolk Southern, but and I got admonished a little over a week ago because of that. You know, they really worked this thing out in benefit, because with John Severe shutting down their coal-fired plant, we were able to get the 50 cars of train cars full of resin parked at John Severe now. So when they make pulls there at Barrett, they've got a ready supply of plastic in case they try to keep a 1 month supply standing close enough to pull it in. Anyway, it's been a real problem, but we're working very closely with Norfolk Southern now, and I want to take my hats off to them. They actually, the president of Norfolk Southern actually met with the folks at Barrett to try to help them out, and I'm much appreciative of them and all the efforts they've had. And I know Barrett's very appreciative of Hawkins County and the Industrial Board and everything, because we worked very closely with them for all these years since they bought out U.S. Fence over there, and I really think that they're gonna keep going. They're now our largest employer in Hawkins County, and do a great job, and I just wish we could get some help for them. Like Danny said over there, it's awful after all these years of making promises for 20 years that we're gonna help them, and then nothing is yet to come to pass. They go through that school zone over there. It's just amazing. So
I think it was over.
Okay. All right,
it
thank
may
you.
have been. I don't remember.
Let's get back to the agenda.
Bredesen.
Yes, I have a motion.
Mallory's got an appointment, so we've got to get back on the agenda. What we're looking at is the reappointment of Susan Armstrong, and the recommendation of Josh Russell and Amy Skelton. Do I have motion to recommend these three people to the industrial board?
I say that we make a motion to recommend these three people to the industrial board as they have recommended those people to us. And then possibly when they make the next appointment in January or whatever it is, then Mr. Rutledge can possibly be added to the
Be
board
considered,
at that time.
yes.
That's my motion to send this on to the commission.
I'll second that.
Okay, any other discussion about these appointments?
Is that, did you say, Mr. Elton, this other, the third person that already resigned,
Yes.
but you just gotta bring it before the
Yeah,
industrial?
the standard, according to the bylaws and the procedures, we bring it before the industrial board. And it's usually just a formality, because we don't have a great deal of people wanting to serve, to be honest with you. And so I don't think it'd be a problem whatsoever in getting Mr. Rutledge appointed. And in fact, he was got appointed this time. There was 3 names, we only had 2 slots. So I don't see that'd be a problem. But
Well, he's willing to serve, because I called him when I got the, today's notice, you know, I guess it's Friday or Saturday. I called him to see, and he said he'd be willing to serve.
Oh, good.
And, because I mean, if he hadn't, he wouldn't have turned the resume in to begin with.
I think that's true.
Well, I think he does have a lot to bring to the table.
Well, I think, and if I recall correctly, Mr. Barrett turned him in the day after the same day that these had already been considered. He was put before the vote, before the board. Mr. Barrett turned it in at the meeting that day
Yeah.
for him
Yes,
to
that's
be
correct.
considered. And everybody was given a resume that day, and I guess they did not have time to look at it. And these two had been in their hands for about 2 months. So, that's probably why that these two were voted on by the board and not voted on that he wasn't, because they didn't have the resume in time. Because he handed it out that day, because I was at the meeting.
Are you gonna do a roll call?
Okay, yes, please do a roll call.
Nancy Barker,
Yes.
George Brewer,
Yes.
Valerie Jones, yes. Michael Harrell.
Yes.
Tom Kane,
Yes.
Charles Thacker.
Yes.
Okay, is there any other discussion?
Yeah, I got one more.
Okay,
If one of them is filling Mr. Price's seat, shouldn't they just be filling out his term instead of a new 6 years?
his term is up.
It had ended.
It didn't.
Just checking.
It just worked out that way. I've got the, if you'd like a list of, I've got a copy of the, terms. His was up, August 20th.
Better business.
Okay, anything else? Do you got anything else on this? We're gonna turn the resolution back in, and then we'll present a resolution when, board votes in December, or whenever they get theirs, and, vote on Mr. Rutledge in January.
I
Or bring
would
that
like-
in front of the commission.
I would like to ask Larry if he will to give Scott Rutledge all the consideration he can with the board.
I will, like I say, I didn't know any of the three, and, you know, I have absolutely no reason not to. I mean, I would welcome somebody to come in that's got some experience in working with the industries and stuff like that would be great, I think.
Okay, and I've given you a handout with all the board meetings on it. I would like to preference that with, due to COVID, you are welcome to attend any board meetings. I did give Rebecca the industrial committee's, emails. If you would like for her to contact you when these meetings are scheduled, she can add you to the list. But, right now, instead of meeting monthly, they are meeting bi-monthly. And they are meeting at Hawkins County Gas because they have the huge community room that they can social distance. There is limited seating so that you can be social distance. And that board has requested that. There are several members on that board that are elderly, and they requested that they have the social distancing and that masks be worn at that meeting. So if you would like for her to add you to the email list, you do have to RSVP for that reason, to make sure that there's plenty of room for everybody to be accommodated. So, I have given her your email if you wanna receive that. I'll give the rest of the the rest of the county commission these meeting dates also. This is for 2021. So you have the list. You will get a notification if you let Rebecca know that you want the notification. One other thing, and of course this may be null and void when we redo committees, because we may not be on this committee. But we can go ahead and set a quarterly meeting to meet with the industrial board. And I'm suggesting the fourth Wednesday, and there are the dates of the fourth Wednesdays, if y'all wanna, cause someone was complaining that we weren't meeting enough. We had not met because of the pandemic. This had never come up as an issue before. We had recommended 2 other people to the board, one in May and one in March, and then one last year. And all y'all voted for them, so we didn't have this problem before. But to make sure that we don't have this issue in the future, we'll go ahead and recommend that we set quarterly meetings, and that way we'll meet once a quarter. I don't see the point of meeting monthly unless you all, that's the wishes of the committee.
good that you at least meet quarterly
Alright,
to keep, the commission, county commission on, up to speed, I guess, is,
Okay.
that's the part of what's going on.
just like I said, I don't know who will be sitting in this seat come whenever we get a committee together.
Larry was talking about, 66, and I don't know if you.
Well, let's go
have
back
any-
to this.
Okay.
Do we wanna, is that what we wanna do, and is that, will the fourth Wednesday work for everybody, and there's the dates that they would be in 2021?
I think that, if we're gonna meet, every time they put somebody on the board, we should have a meeting.
Well, we would meet for
Right
that,
there, too.
we would meet for that reason.
Okay.
These would just be, if we don't have anybody appointed, or any, I mean, if they've got business that we need to look at, then we would definitely wanna do that. But this would just be a quarterly update in case we don't have, cause, I mean, we went for years there and didn't have any appointments.
Yes, that's fine.
I would suggest that if that opening is available, that you meet, if we're still a committee, we meet
January.
in January. to
Well,
get
we've
this other-
already agreed that we'd send it on if they're appointed. We've already got that in motion and passed that. So he would be,
But
Sit
what
down.
he's saying if he's not,
what do you mean?
if he's not appointed to be on the
Oh, okay.
industrial board. they
Well,
have
if there's somebody else, yeah, if there's another person put in, we would definitely meet in January. Well, we already got a meeting scheduled in January, but we can move it up before the commission meeting if that's necessary. These are only suggested meetings that you meet quarterly, that way you're up to date. If there is an issue that comes up with the industrial board that, needs to be addressed, then we would go ahead and have, a regular call committee meeting. So, what's the wishes of the committee?
I'll make that motion, we'll have, the fourth Wednesday quarterly meeting.
Okay, y'all put this on your calendar, I need a second.
I'll second.
Alright. Roll call.
Nancy,
Yes.
George,
Yes.
Mark's absent, Valerie, yes, Michael,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Charles,
Yes.
6 yes, 1 absent.
Okay. Anything else come before the committee?
Let's see, who made that motion?
Mike Correll made the motion, Charles Thacker second.
That's what I thought, I just wanted to double check.
And if y'all would please pass those, resumes in, it does have some confidential information on it that does not need to be go out in public.
Actually, can I mention one other thing that's,
Yes.
I think of utmost importance, to the county and, that we accomplished. In fact, I signed the paperwork last month. You know, we've had, Rogersville Utility District has served the water for the Phipps Bend Industrial Park all these years. And we had a major water outage, and we were able to get, federal and state funds and TVA funds to, do some loops and things in there to avoid a major outage. But also, we were able to get them a loan for, redoing the 750,000 gallon water tank that's there at Phipps Bend. And so we finally agreed on everything with the help of Calvin Clifton, who works with Madden and Craig, and many of you all know Calvin. A good Hawkins County boy, was able to work with them in getting all of the property transferred over to the Rogersville Utility District. We've had some issues through the years, and that's been on, I guess, my bucket list for 25 years now, to try to get all of that straightened out. The only thing left is to get some right-of-way worked out on with Mundet Industries there, the old card and label plant. So that's been a major accomplishment. I don't know how many thousands of dollars we were able to get for them through the Development District, through the ARC, the Appalachian Regional Commission, and then we were able to get them a USDA zero interest loan for the money that they'll have to pay back, but, I just commend the, Rogersville Utility District and everything for, after all this time, finally getting all this worked out, and that's been a ongoing project, ever since, we were able to get that money to build that water tank, and the state put all the money into that, all the lines and everything that's up there, plus the water tank, so it's taken all these years to get this thing finally, worked out, and, like I say, I can check that one off now, so. I thought that was of utmost importance to everybody as we move forward down the line. Somebody else takes over, somebody else, that'll be something off their list.
Okay, and I just want to clarify one other thing. Someone addressed me at the county commission meeting when I presented the resolution about the 6-year terms. Those are mandated by the state. That code is Tennessee Annotated Code 7-53-202, that the terms would be for 6 years. And they also address qualifications. Any person recommended cannot be a relative, and they cannot be an elected official. So just want to clarify those two things. All right, is there any other information come before the board?
I'll move it down.
Second, I need a second.
I'll see.
All right, thank y'all so
Good
much,
job.
appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
And I did get all those